everybody, I'm Dave with the Guitar Tricks channel, here with another great lesson and tip of the week. Make sure to like this video and subscribe so you'll never miss another episode. Let's check out that tip of the week. This week's tip is using lift-offs when making chord transitions. So for instance, what I'm talking about, guys, is a way that'll help you switch chords a little bit easier, and we're going to use the last up-strum of your strum pattern to do that. So let's take a few chords here. For instance, let's take C, F, G, and C. And then I'm just going to strum it with a down, 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 up, like that kind of strum. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last up strum is going to be on the open string. So what that's going to do is allow me an extra half second of time to switch to the next chord without breaking the beat. It's like this. We always want it to sound rhythmically in time, and even though we're doing an upstroke on open strings, it actually doesn't sound that bad. And when you play it confidently and with authority, it's a great way to move from chord to chord. I hear a lot of guitar players, especially acoustic guitar players, when they're switching chords, to use this technique, regardless of whether they're aware of it or not. So if we were to not do the lift-offs, sometimes the chords might sound a little forced. Because I'm not giving myself enough time to switch to the next chord. By doing the lift off, you get rid of those little gaps between the chords and you just keep the tempo or the right hand moving. Lift off. Lift off. Lift off. So try to incorporate the lift off whenever you're switching chords, and that will help your switching and the chord transitions help to make them sound a lot more smooth and even. Now let's check out the lesson of the week. This week's lesson, we're going to talk about using a blues turnaround to start and end a blues song. Typically, we hear a turnaround in the middle of a blues tune that wraps around and takes you back to the beginning of the 12-bar progression. But believe it or not, you can also use a turnaround to start your song and to end it. Let's check it out. So usually the turnaround, a typical one we hear would be this. And what we're doing there, if we're in the key of A for this one, we're doing a little walk down on the third and first string, picking the third, then the first, then the third string, doing the same thing in the 8th fret, doing the same thing in the 7th fret, and then back to the 6th fret on the 3rd string, 5th on the 1st string, and then play them together. Carefully mute the 2nd string so it doesn't ring, and then we play an F9 to an E9 chord. And that sets you up, that actually ends on what they call the 5 chord in the key of A. That sets you up to go into the A chord for the next part of the song, etc. Like that. So if we were to hear the turnaround to start the song, it would be in this context. You'd hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Here we go. Now the song's in. And it sounds kind of cool, and it's a very musical way of starting off your song rather than just counting in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then start with the rhythm. That doesn't sound bad, but putting that little turnaround at the front, it just kind of spices up and makes it sound a little more musical. Now let's check out the ending, using it to end the song. It's actually the same turnaround, but instead of ending on the 5 chord, a half step above the 5 chord, the F9 to the 5 chord, that always leaves your ear wanting to hear the next part or hear the next cycle. But if we're going to end it, we're actually going to do the turnaround lick and then go to the 1 chord or the A7, but start at a half step above So it's a B flat 7, and then we tuck it back to the A7. So let's check out what it sounds like for the end of the song. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and right on. So when you hear that at the end, that tells me, tells you, tells everybody else that we're done. The song's over. Okay, so there you go. A great turnaround, great blues turnaround, using basically a half step above the 1 chord to end it, or a half step above the 5 chord to cycle you around back to the top of the progression and repeat it. And this actually works with pretty much any blues turnaround. You could plug in any other blues turnaround and get the same result. Just for kicks, I might go like this. Hear that turnaround? That sounds like we're gonna play that was the intro. Now we're into playing the song. If I do the same lick, and then on the B flat to the A7, it sounds like we're done with the song. Nice. That definitely sounds like the ending. So there you go. Work on that. Take your time with it. Learn the turnaround. Experiment with other turnarounds. And then all you got to remember is that the last 2 chords are either the 5 chord to wrap it up, take you back to the top as an intro of the song, or end on the 1 chord to end the song. There you go. That's it for this week's channel episode. I hope you learned something new and inspiring that can be used in your own playing. Be sure to check out guitartricks.com/channel for more info and free lessons that'll help you towards your goal of becoming a solid and competent guitar player. And while you're here, hit that button below to subscribe so you won't miss another lesson. I'm Dave with Guitar Tricks. See you next time. Until then, keep those fingers flying.